Who is the greatest out of all of the Green Lanterns from Earth? And let's be real, that's really limited down to Hal, Guy, John, and Kyle. These four are essentially the first and definitively the most powerful that the Earth Lanterns have to offer. So be sure to like and subscribe down low for more as we continue to roll into this entire topic. As of the original old school Justice League and Justice League Unlimited run, I feel like John Stewart has definitely gained a massive chunk in popularity, and it's important to note that in terms of popularity, John Stewart right now might be running the game, but we're not here to discuss just merely like popularity, for example. We're here to discuss the most powerful and the greatest out of any of the Earth Green Lanterns. And there's a variety of differences between them all, and I think every single one of those is really interesting to look at and consider. Take for example how Hal describes every single one of the lanterns individually during 2004-2005's Green Lantern Rebirth. He looks at John and he says, yo, John's constructs are built from the inside out. And everything he creates is not hollow, it's dense. His constructs are amazing. And that goes for things with or without the ring, because John is an architect. John is a leader. He worked really well as Corps leader whenever we had Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps. He was the one who essentially led the Lanterns through a variety of very frustrating situations. And it's more among the Batman like prep time characters than any of the other Lanterns. He's all about restrained willpower, which is kind of interesting. Waiting for the right moment and pulling the trigger whenever that moment comes. He's patient and meticulous more so than he is just absurd willpower. Guy is like a leaky water faucet and his power is just waiting to explode and get out there. His attitude is a big part of his power set, and that's really definitive whenever we're discussing this character. Guy is a really good beat cop. He's the guy you send out whenever you're not really sure that somebody will come back, because the guy's a tank and he will never go down. And whenever it comes to Kyle is more of an artist. He sketches things into reality is probably the best way to kind of phrase it. And his imagination is definitely the limits to what he can do on the fly. And Kyle, he's the torchbearer, man. He's got a lot more when it comes to about survivability and even bearing the weight of the entire emotional spectrum. But once we start moving past the idea of the green, it's just not quite where it's at. And when it comes to Hal is more about precision and getting the job exactly done how it needs to be. Concentrated power through focused ambition. And this is one of those things that is kind of definitive of not only power, but exactly where these characters kind of sit themselves. Every person kind of has a place. But if we're going to sit down and look at feats, the one person who kind of stands above pretty much the rest of the Green Lanterns is Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan has done things that most other Lanterns consider impossible, or even some things that like White Lantern Kyle Rayner looked at as impossible. For example, crafting his own ring, which is something Ganthet said was unbelievable, but he was awaiting him to do it, and we never really get statements like that for any of the other Greens. And when it comes to fear, like just raw combat, Hal Jordan is always at the top of the list. It's not to say that the other Lanterns don't have their place. And I know what you're thinking, oh, but Lumos, look at Kyle Rayner's statements. Kyle Rayner's statements say that he's the greatest ever. Okay, between the two greatest out of the OG4, we're looking at Kyle and we're looking at Hal Jordan. And whenever it comes to being Green Lanterns exclusively, let's take a look at exactly what happened to Kyle during Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps whenever he put on his ring after becoming a White Lantern. Due to the circumstances, Hal Jordan had to give up his ring to Kyle, and he is mind blown at how powerful the ring that Hal Jordan currently wields is since he made it himself. This is pretty exemplary of just why Hal Jordan's willpower is stronger than anyone else's. And not only does he use that ring to go and fight a double-powered Zod, but he loses. And then Hal Jordan shows up to defeat that person. And Guy didn't want to step up to this dude because Guy had already gotten thrashed by Zod's kid. And on top of that, Jon Stewart, whenever he rolls up against this exact same Zod, not even 2 chapters later, he shows up with prep time and kryptonite because he didn't want to throw hands with him. He was a little bit afraid. So, definitively, I'll come out and say it, Hal Jordan is the greatest of the Earth Lanterns. His feats are bar to none amongst anybody in that crew whenever it comes to raw combat. If you disagree, be sure to tell me down low, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time, Lanterns. Later.